Welcome to Living Chassidus. Together, let's live the Chassidus we learn.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Chassidus in the morning. Heichaltzu, 15 minutes. Yeah, let's go. So we're tracking through. We're already near the end of the 7th parak, parak Zayin. And we're discussing about unity. That true unity comes from not from, so to speak, not knowing anything else or not connecting with anyone else, but it's faket. It's like the difference in Chachma and Bina. The true unity is not in the Chachma, because even though there's only one thing, but there's no room for other things. Really, in that source, there's other things that can come out. There's no room for the connection. But after, when it comes into Bina, when you bring it out and you see those details and then you come together, that's true unity. So like we said before, true unity is not when we all have this exact same opinion, but it's when we take all our different opinions and bring it together in a synthesis. Yeah, and that's what we were saying yesterday, that in the truth, it doesn't really, that these ideas, trying to figure out where to start exactly, but basically we were saying that these ideas that in essence, the contrary, just they're in a source. So then it's like, you could say it's like different like ministers in the king's palace. When they're in front of the king, everyone is united and everyone goes together. But in truth, they all have different opinions. It could be very vastly different opinions. It just being the fact that they're in the king's palace, so then the way they do things and stuff, and the way they express things is going to be in that way. Yeah. The bottom of page 56. But in truth, they don't have really any unity. They're totally opposite of each other. And if you reveal them, meaning you take those people, so to speak, in that case, like you take all those opinions outside of the king, they could be arguing, could be enemies. You know, as we explained before. Yeah, like the fire and water, they're not, totally opposite things. Yeah, all the different powers, like we said in the last chapter, different powers of the soul, each one is different. Chesed is chesed, Gvura is Gvura. They're really opposite each other. But the truth synthesis of it is when they come together. Like Paris. Yeah. Aval, Bat, Ka'an, Hey, but when we're talking about after, when they do express themselves, and then we bring the unity together, then that unity is a good unity. Until they become not even opposites and arguing. They actually help each other. And this then is the true unity. True unity is you take different people with their different opinions and they can come together. Not that they come together on the exact same thing necessarily, but they bring themselves together. And you look at a person that is very different to you. It's like the bacha. To a simple example, it's like the bacha or a girl that goes to a protest that's anti-Israel, and they go to that side of the protest and they get to put on tefillin on them. That's true unity. You have your different opinions, and for sure, the bacha's opinion is very different than these people. But they can come together and put on the tefillin or give the Shabbos candles, and things like this. That's true unity. This separation that comes from the mind. So when it comes, because remember, we're discussing everything essentially in terms of the mind, the intellect. Even though I'm using examples, but essentially he's going to spell it out for us. I'm just, because we go short every day, so I have to just try to incorporate it. But essentially, we're talking about the mind. So that's the right. Just like by in Chachma, it's very togetherness, but it's not a true togetherness. In Bina, it comes out, it expresses itself, all the things happen, and then they come together. That's a true unity. Like when you think of an idea and you think about it from all sides and all directions, and people come and they say to you, but that doesn't make sense because of this. And you listen to it and you say, oh, that's interesting. Let me think about that. And you try to, and you take all those opinions together it formulates a better opinion. It's like learning something when you discuss it with someone else, that makes you understand a lot better. And that's exactly what we're saying here. But that this separation from the mind, that causes the true unity. Yeah. Yeah, that's what he's saying in this phone. It's the same thing. They say in Shabbos, by the mind, you have everyone has two different opinions. Hooray, meaning not two people have the exact same opinion. So you could say that they can. So seemingly, that's a cause for argument or not getting together. Hooray, the kedusha, like we're going to explain in holiness, that's not a problem at all. Having people like that, that's not a problem at all. On the contrary, there's a more of an advantage. That different paths become one thing. And this is the unity of Shem Havayah. Shem Havayah is that you take the parts, different parts, and you bring them together. Like we said about Shema. That Shema is specifically not a Shem Yachid, but a Shem Echad. But you're taking the oneness, meaning that even though there's parts, but that all those parts come together as one, that's a much greater unity than only being one thing, being all singular. And that's what we're saying here. That specifically when you have it's that what we see here is that the goal is not that we all follow the exact same way and we don't think for ourselves and we just follow like sheep. The idea is that we should have our opinion, have all these things, but bring them together and find the commonality between all of us and how we can all those can all work together. And as we've explained before, and as we'll explain even further. Yeah, and he says in chapter 19, but again, this is coming from Shem Havayah. This is coming from the bittul, from the ability to have that we're not thinking about ourselves so much. Bittul, that it's more about the everyone, and it's about the godliness that was within me. Whereas when it comes from the midjan, because remember, the original discussion is Heichaltzu midchem is Heichaltzu is talking about the war with midjan, which midjan we discuss is the epitome of like ego and not having space for anyone else. It's a kitzer. Heichalkus, the midjan, the separation that comes from midjan, geremes is kalus. The moichin, sorry. Heichalkus, the moichin. The separation of the mind, causes a synthesis. But this only works when it's bittul. The true coming together, the true unity is when the details, the parts, the separate parts aren't against. On the contrary, they help each other. So let's say, simple example, someone is a chesedic person, someone is a gevurdik person. So the chesedic person needs a gevurah person. Could be that he's chesed and he's all giving, and the gevurah could be the person that says, "Hold on a second, you need to control yourself. You need to figure out how to do this properly." And they work together. You say, well, "Leave me alone. I'm a chesed. I'm a ish chesed. I'm a kind person. I want to just do kindness." And the gevurah person comes and says, "Yeah, but we've got to organize this. Otherwise, you're going to lose all your money. Otherwise, you're not going to have an officially run organization or whatever it is." And we need those two. On one hand, they're very opposite, but on that opposition can really come together, and it doesn't have to negate itself. Yeah, exactly. And like we said about Chachma and Bina, the Chachma is that flash of an idea, and the Bina is what brings it out. So that's what we're saying. And we're going to continue discussing different aspects of this and bring it down into, and he's going to, I don't have to do it. He brings it down. The Rashab makes felt that clearly in God's community and friends and things like this. But essentially what we're saying here is that the division is a cause for unity, which I think it sort of put everything on its head. But we used to probably thought before we learned this that we should all have the same opinion. We should all just agree about everything. Whereas here we're saying there's nothing wrong with disagreeing. But we have to see how every person is part and parcel of the whole. But we need every person's distinct what they have to give. And it can be that we hold differently. I'm a chesed and they're a gevurah. That's opposite extremes. They're two opposites. But we can all come together and we have this commonality that we can really bring together. So we'll start now the introduction into the next few chapters, and then we'll go. So now from chapter 8 to 11, and we're on page 59, whoever is the book, we're going to start discussing again in a spiritual. He says in abstract discussion of bittul and unity as a hallmark of holiness, and yeshus, discord, as a hallmark of klippah. So we're going to discuss this more. However, in the middle of that chapter, the Rebbe shifts focus from the abstract to the personal and demonstrates how these concepts play out in interpersonal relationships. So this idea of yeshus and klippah versus bittul and holiness, how they express themselves in relationships. Yeah, and also in avodah of every individual explains that yesh is the cause of basis interpersonal hatred. It creates senseless friction and tears people apart from one another for no reason at all. This kind of animosity arises not because one has been harmed by someone else that we talked about before, but simply because each person is so preoccupied with his own self that he cannot make room for another. He finds it difficult to tolerate the very existence of the other person. And I think this is something that that when you get married, and this is a very fundamental concept, that when you get married, one of the things you have to learn how to do is think about someone else. That not think about someone else just in terms of how that someone else affects you, but think about someone else, how things affect them. And I find this is something that that I see with people, especially Bachrim, not necessarily they realize this. And it's a very good thing to work on now when you're single, that it helps you in marriage. When you can think about it, like you have a roommate, so you don't just think about them as they relate to you and what they do with you or how they interfere with your life, but them with their issues. Someone comes to you and they say, "Oh, I had a hard day." It happens to me sometimes. Like when my wife will talk to me about something, and like I think about it in terms of myself. And it's like, but it's not about you. It's about her and about her issue. And so your roommate comes and says, "Oh, I had a bad day." You say, "Oh, what happened?" And you listen to them and you think about how it felt for them and you put yourself in their shoes. And that's what he's saying. And in order to be able to do that, that's a bittul. A bittul is be able to put yourself in someone else's shoes. The yeshus, you can't do that. And that's why people bother you, because they're getting in the way of your shoes. You only have one person. You only fit yourself into where you are, and you can't see anyone else. And anything else is all based off the way you see things, and the way it filters through your mind. So it's like you just argue with them or something like that. That's what we're going to discuss. Sadly, such friction and intolerance are widespread, existing even amongst those who devote themselves to Torah study and avodah, lofty pursuits in which unity and cooperation would be so profoundly valuable. So he's saying even in people that learn Torah all day and they're really Talmid Chachamim, they have this issue, and it's so sad because they could gain so much more by having the unity. After all, it is precisely by collaborating and hearing different ideas, that one's understanding of a Torah concept is broadened and his appreciation deepened. Moreover, when people communicate and share their struggles and successes in avodah, they can help each other advance in their respective spiritual goals. And simply being able to talk to someone else, and they can listen to you, and they can hear you out, and you can feel comfortable to speak, you could gain so much more from that. A true Farbrengen is not just that one person talks and everyone listens, but it's about people share what's on their hearts and they get help, and they have with brotherly love. You sit together and you talk and you discuss it, and you can have people that follow up with you and care about you. You could have so much. This is what the world lacks the most. Unfortunately, instead of working with one another, sharing and being open to suggestions of self-improvement, people often fall into the trap of their own self-image. This makes it impossible for them to appreciate the input of others and cause them to find a host of reasons to belittle others and look down upon them. And ultimately, they look down on other people because they can't share the truth. And especially, we live in a day and age where people have Instagram and whatever it is, and all these, and Facebook, and you're always showing this perfect life, and it's not reality. So then you can't come after that and put a person picture yourself, looks like you're living the best life, and then come and say, "Hey, the life sucks." I have this all the time at work, that I speak to people that are going through very hard times, and a lot of times I'll see I spoke to a lady on WhatsApp. I called her up, and her picture was her at a party having a good time, and I know what's going on in her life, and her life is in ruins, and she's barely can feed herself. It's so the contrast is crazy, and this is what's happening. And so when we look at other people's lives, and we post, especially we look at other people's lives, "Oh man, I have such a better life than me. How can I share my struggles with them? No one can understand me." And this is all yeshus that's coming, and it's a problem. And Mitzvah Hashem, through learning this, we'll learn how to have true, deep, meaningful relationships with people, and that together we can help each other to reach heights and successes. To be continued tomorrow. Thank you for joining.